Hi, everybody. I am Luwi Muwema. I am a mental health activist. So during my activities, people get to ask me questions every now and then, and I thought of highlighting just four of them and giving answers to these questions. So I will pose the question and I will answer it according to my understanding, according to the way I have seen things run thus far. Okay, so let's get right into it. First question: what do you think the current state of mental health awareness is, and why does it affect the youth? So, if we look at the statistics of Africa, about 75% of the population are youth. Whatever affects the youth affects tomorrow. Okay. To answer the first part of my question, what I think about the current state of mental health awareness is that it is better than it was 2 years ago. I feel like now there's quite a few people who are speaking about mental health and spreading the word on mental health. And as compared to 2 years ago, where nobody was talking about this, where we did not know what this was, particularly us in Zambia, us in Africa, so to say. It's not a topic that is spoken of as often, but now you get to hear it on the radio, you get to hear it on the TV programs by our own people. And there's times when we have these seminars in our schools, quite a few times, and people kind of tell us issues related to mental health. So I personally feel like there is an awakening, so to say, in mental health awareness. Not that we are awakened already, but there is an awakening. It has started like now. So I feel that is the current state of mental health awareness. Okay. Then why does it affect the youth? I said earlier that whatever affects the youth affects tomorrow. Why? We are tomorrow. So if today is destroyed and crashed, then tomorrow will definitely not come, actually. So youth are very susceptible to mental health illness and mental health diseases. Mostly they find it hard to relate or talk to people about these mental health problems, and there's times when they just don't identify that they actually have a mental health illness or problem. It's seen as normal and part of life, so they just go ahead with it, and this really affects their well-being. So moving on to the next question: why do you think stigmatization is such a prevalent issue? So I want to take us back to the days of our forefathers, back to the days of our parents, grandparents. They never sat down to talk about mental health. No, they never sat down to talk about issues that affect our children and how to sort them out. No, it was something very automatic. It was like a gene passed on to the children, to the offspring, to say you are strong. You should face this that way. You are a man. You are raised to fight. You are raised to build, and you are raised to create. Therefore, you should not be pulled down. So now that we realize that there's something called mental health and we desire to talk about it, many people don't understand it. And it seems very weird, so to say. That is why there's so much stigma when it comes to mental health. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, they don't know what mental health is. They don't know that mental health is actually a part of us. It should be taught to us. And it's something new to them, so to say, in a very different way. Okay. Yes, they sat down to talk about issues, to talk about their families, how to help families, things like that. But it was hard to talk about how they feel, to talk about the stress they feel, to talk about how pressured they feel, to talk about them failing to achieve certain goals, because their ancestors, their fathers already, our fathers rather, did so much. They appeared as strong people. They appeared as people who are capable to do this and that. And we have never seen them fall. We have never seen their flaws. And now that we see so much flaws in ourselves and we see how we fall and fail to achieve goals that they think as possible or think as simple, when we come out to say, I have this problem, it looks like an excuse to say you are weak, so to say. And that brings so much stigma. Okay, so it's like in our blood as the African continent, as the African people, as the African culture, to just be strong and face life like you have it all under control, so to say. So Another reason as to why stigmatization is such a prevalent issue is that there's fear of being identified as mad or unable to cope. People don't understand what exactly mental health is. And because of that, when you come out to talk about it, it's like, okay, you are very strange. You are so weird. You are termed this and that. And because of that, there is so much fear. I mean, nobody wants to be identified as weird or as strange or as different, so to say. We all want to be accepted. And when we fail to get accepted, there is so much fear within us that people will detach from us, and we don't know what will be left to us. So yeah, fear of being identified as mad or unable to cope really brings about stigmatization, and that's why stigma is such a prevalent issue too. Say in our compounds around, mothers may have children who have certain disabilities, and they are afraid to bring their children out into the open because they will be mocked or laughed at, or they'll be told that it's because of your sins. I've heard it so many times. Because of the sins of the parents, that their children are disabled, their children are weak, their children are mentally ill, things like that. So parents would rather keep their child within their doors and not say anything about their child for fear of this stigmatization. Another reason as to why stigmatization is such a prevalent issue is there is lack of teaching on mental health, honestly, in schools, in primary schools, secondary schools, high schools, universities, especially universities. People are going through so much in universities, but there's nobody to talk to about these mental health issues. Okay, there's nobody to talk about the mental health issues, even at home or the churches or institutions. We're not told that, okay, this is mental health illness, deal with it this way and that way. We are not taught that. So when we find ourselves in trouble, in depression, in anxiety, it's really hard to come out because we just don't know where to even start from. So yes, that is what I have to say under the question, why do you think stigmatization is such a prevalent issue? Then moving on to my third question, that is, what do I think the worst mental health misconception is on a personal level? Well, there's quite a number, but the worst is that people living with mental illness are weak. That's the worst misconception I have heard. Worst misconception I can think of, so to say. When we're out there doing our work as activists, so many people who say this whole thing you're doing is just for weak people, and it really hits me so hard because there are many so-called strong people who stumble in the mental health areas because they have this garment of perfection that everybody sees, but they don't see what is in the inside. Okay. Then the last question is, what is my personal experience with mental illness, and what do I have to tell to people struggling? Okay. Woo. So I was not diagnosed for a mental health illness, so to say. However, there is a phase in life that I fell into, and I realized that I was in this situation and failed to get out of it until a long time. So I will just stress on this part. So my personal experience with mental illness was depression. Okay. I was 12 years old. It was a long period from the age of 12 to 14. I can remember roughly. Yeah. A whole lot happened in my family that got to me, and I was a child, and I did not know or understand how to deal with all this. So the best way was for me to sleep it away. Okay. I just slept. I would spend so much time sleeping. My sister once questioned to say, why do you sleep a whole? I will wake up in the morning to sleep. I will wake up in the morning and do this and that. But then my sleeping hours were just beyond, because every time I'm under that blanket, I'll tell myself that, okay, when I sleep, I won't feel anything. That guys, the next morning I woke up, whatever I was hiding from was right there staring in front of me. So I was very angry. I had a temper, a really bad temper. I was angry and I detached from so many people. I made sure that I was not be found around people. I felt like people would just remind me of who I was back then and will open up scars that I thought I had closed and covered. And speaking about this now, it might sound a bit strange because I was but a child. That this is the truth about mental health. It does not care who you are. Mental health illness, rather. It does not care who you are. You can be a child. You can be an adult. You can be a so-called strong person or so-called weak person. You can be a poor person or a rich person. That when mental illness strikes and you don't know how to deal with it, it will strike really hard and really bad. So that was my personal experience with mental illness. Yeah. And another thing was I hated the fact that I saw the next day. Truth be told, I always wished that was the last day I could live. And I was afraid to inflict harm on myself because I was already going through so much emotional trauma. So every day that came, I either wondered why it came, or I wondered when it will end or when things will get better. And as I said, I was from around 12 to 14. So I want you guys to just understand that there's a period in time where we transition from being children, from being these innocent children to being these teenagers or adults. Okay, so we are young adolescents. It's the time also when puberty hits, so to say. So there's so much hormonal imbalance. Okay, and it's worse in girls as compared to guys. That is why so many tempers, so many mood swings, so much happens at that age. This is when people are very susceptible to this emotional trauma. They don't know how to deal with it, and it's from such a young age. So if you do not deal with it at that young age, if you don't find somebody to confide in, if you can't talk to somebody at that young age, it will grow. It doesn't go anywhere. And the funny part is, you may smile and find distractions, you may cover it up, but it is still there. It's just waiting to come back and attack you. So the question on how will I advise those struggling with mental illness? First things first is you need to realize that you were struggling. You have to know yourself to an extent that when you are sad, you know that you were sad, and you know how to become better. You know how to stop that sadness. Or when you are extremely happy, you know how to control and not get overboard. Or when you are falling into depression, you realize that I am not the person I was yesterday. I'm not this excited person I was yesterday. Why am I falling short today? What is going wrong? So that is self-realization. So you need to know yourself to an extent that when anything small happens, you know, something triggers in your mind that, wait, Luwi, this is happening. And you ask, is it okay? If it is okay, let it be. If it is not okay, if it will destroy you, if it will build to something that will not be good to your life, to your mental health, you stop it there and then. It may not be easy, but let's run through this, what I have to say together. So, something called seeking help, okay? The outside world cannot tell that you are going through mental illness sometimes because you wear this gown, so to say, that tells us that you are happy, you are perfect, you are strong. So we are just not too sure of you, but you know yourself better. So when you realize that something is not going well as it should, when you realize that you are falling into this sadness, anxiety, depression, it's best that you seek help. Now, it may be that you're falling into a severe condition, or It's just a mild condition or something that can be handled by anybody. If it is something that can be handled by anybody, then you should seek help from confidence. Okay, it may not be a professional, but that help will be enough, will be good enough. There's times when I feel that I'm failing at so many goals I have set, and I feel that I am not worthy, I am not good enough for it, and I stay back. I just stop, and I always talk to somebody about this and just tell them how I feel, because this feeling stops me from doing so much. Honestly, I should be making this podcast, but I feel a certain way, and it just tells me that, Luwi, just don't do that, and I won't do it. That is lack of success, right? So when you realize that something's not going well, please learn to seek help and just talk to somebody. Make sure it is a confidant, not any Jim and Jack, not anybody that you call a friend. No, somebody you can confide in, somebody you can tell something and you know that, and you trust the person not to go out there to spread your story. Okay. However, if your mental illness is severe, it is best to seek professional help. Okay, I have heard of so much stigma attached to the Chainama hospital. To many of us listening to this within Lusaka, when you get a paper from there, so to say, a treatment, there's people who, give you that weird look to say this person is psycho, and that is just stigmatization. But guys, if you need the help, who are you helping? Are you helping yourself or those people who talk about the hospital in a wrong way? You're definitely helping yourself. So I advise that you seek professional help. You seeking professional help does not mean that there's something wrong with you, that you're an alien, or you are so sick, or there's something really bad happening with you. No. You seeking professional help tells us, the world tells you that you are strong enough to realize that you need an extra helping hand to just put you back to where you want yourself to be. Okay? So remember, if you do not reach out, people may not realize that you are falling. So it's best that you reach out and just talk about this. So, also learn to talk to yourself and learn to build your confidence. Don't find your confidence in people or in things, but in yourself. Learn to know who you are and focus on the good things, the good side that you like about yourself. Back then, I used to hate myself for being me. I used to hate myself because I was so tall and people would laugh at me and, so much. But now I realize that, okay, I actually have some pretty hair and I like my hair, so I focus on my hair more. And this actually really helps. So if you move your attention from something that you dislike to something that you like, you tend to appreciate yourself. So it is best that you learn to talk to yourself and tell yourself who you are. Like, I am superb, I am brilliant, I am intelligent, I am beautiful, I am wonderful, I am not weak, I am not ill, I can overcome this, and I will overcome this. Things like that. And understand that the mental illness is not your identity. It is not something that is yours, something that was put in you so that you live this way all your life. No. Yes, it may be something you are struggling with and finding so hard to curb, but it is something that you too can get rid of once you seek the professional help too. So I need you to learn to understand that your identity is not found in mental illness, please. You have your own identity that you hold, and learn to understand and differentiate the two, okay? So what I love to advise people also is, do not use drugs to solve your problems, to solve any mental illness, to solve any depression or anxiety. Do not use drugs or alcohol to solve this, because many people fall into addiction. So every time, for example, something hits me so hard and I find myself falling into depression, okay, I take this coke or this dope stuff, I take this stuff and I feel better. Then the next time it happens, I continue to do that. So it becomes a habit. And a habit is something that is so hard to curb, to get rid of. So I advise that you do not take drugs or alcohol to sort out or to solve any mental illness. And also, do not find your identity. I think I said this already. Do not find your identity in people. Do not find your identity in perishables. Okay, learn to be strong. Learn to build yourself. Learn to talk to people to help out where they can. All right, and above all, it is your life and it is your choice to make, to either overcome or to stay back and be overcome. Thank you guys for listening.